Into no limit.
To no
And
limit.
that's for, just for workers' comp.
Right, for liability property, pollution, landfill, watercraft, aircraft, airports, all those other coverages that we have, yes, there are limits on those. And we have to evaluate that each year to know, what is the insured value that we are really trying to cover, and make the best determination on that.
So do each one of those ones that you just mentioned, do each one of those have a different maximum limit?
Yes, depending on the assets we're trying to insure. No questions, Peter? Nothing? Okay. Thank you.
David, thank you very much, appreciate it.
May I ask you a question? Is there a limit on the liability part of your?
Yes.
So the limit is? on the
Right now?
Yeah.
Right now, we have about 600 million. It's a lot. We got a lot of assets. So you got to figure it's not just Lassen County, it's not just Modoc, Sierra, Plumas. I have 10 counties, so we have to have a large limit.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. All right, we'll move on to item 6, economic development activities. We'll start off with the Sierra Army Depot.
I'll lead off on that as most of you know, all of you know, the Sierra Army Depot is located in Lassen County, southern Lassen County, but probably impacts each one of your counties to one degree or another. There's been a renewed effort on behalf of Lassen County to try to exploit as much as we can the asset down there and the county, the property that the county owns for economic development purposes in order to get some more economic activity down there. And most people will know that the county disposed of, or the county acquired a lot of land from the Army in the BRAC process and is in the process of disposing that, putting it in private hands to get it on the tax roll and hopefully get some economic activity in there. Most recently, we're in the process of developing a proposal, or request for proposals to dispose of property that surrounds the airstrip in Hurlock. And that airstrip is currently still owned by the Army. However, there's a joint use agreement between the county and the Army that could potentially allow for commercial use of that airport if a lot of conditions were met. So we're in the process of developing a request for proposals that will go out very soon in the next couple of months to try to get that property in the hands of private ownership and thereby creating some economic development. So the purpose of bringing that to the attention to the four boards is to let you know what we have planned out there, to kind of highlight a little bit about what has gone out there in the last couple of years. The depot has grown from about 500 or 600 employees to right now around 1,400. Excuse me. And they continue to grow and shrink based on the needs of redeployment of various assets throughout the military as they come and go from the various theaters that they're working around the world. And there's Supervisor Hammond may want to address the issue of the four counties getting together to discuss the longevity and the long-term effects of the base and what we might do to encourage leaders at other levels to utilize the base. And so with that, perhaps I'll turn it over to Supervisor Hammond.
One of the main reasons that I kind of pushed for this meeting was to get your guys' support with our representatives, Senator Gaines and Brian Dolly and Doug LaMaffa behind the Army Depot. It's really critical to Lassen County. It spills over to each and every one of your guys' counties, the residual effects. Jim's idea of us standing together is right down that alley. We could start with letters of support is all we're asking for right now. We would like to include Washoe County. There's a lot of money that goes from Sierra Army Depot, which runs into Washoe County. I'm not sure what the exact figures are for Plumas and Sierra and Modoc, maybe Congressman Lamotha's representative has those figures, I don't know that. But we would certainly appreciate your support with our congressional and our senators. Anything else, any questions?
For the benefit of everybody here, the Sierra Army Depot has a financial impact in northeastern California of $290 million annually. As Richard pointed out, they employ over 1,200 people. I believe it is close to 1,400 right now, isn't it? Users there. They also have a financial impact on northwestern Nevada of $190 million. This is the largest financial impact to our geographic area is covered here. So it's essential that we have total support for this to keep this here.
And there is discussion of a 2017 grant. So we would like to be proactive instead of reactive. I don't know if we've done as good a job as we should have in the past. And once again, I'm asking for your support with letters, and maybe our CAOs can get together and our chairmen to form a letter to each and every one of our representatives.
Tom, you should also add that the Sierra Army Depot stores, maintains military equipment. The value of equipment stored there is in the billions of dollars, folks. Multi-billions of dollars of military equipment here in Alaska County.
No, we can't tax it. But we can tax, like, the gas taxes and all the residual taxes that come from that. I don't think they're gonna send us a check.
I know in Modoc County that we have, I know of a few people that actually work there and commute basically every day to come down here and go to work. So it does affect the entire area up here. So, it's probably something we should look at and get behind somewhere or another, do some good support on it.
Well, the money doesn't just stay in Madison County, it flows out to all our counties.
Is the 190 million part of the 290, is that above?
No, that's above and beyond. Above and beyond. And with the downsizing of the military, we're a little unsure of where we're going to be. So it would be a pretty big hit to all of us if something happened there and we didn't stand up, so. And I'm sure Mr. Egan will be in touch with you over this matter.
The Army would have been here today, their CG, I think that means Commanding General,
Yep.
was in town and they couldn't make it. But if we plan the next time that we have this type of forum to have the Army staff here, and that they indicated they'd like to come and talk to all four counties. So hopefully we'll make this at least an annual event.
Next time they invite the county to do a tour, like we did last year.
Good
we
idea.
can invite the other counties to join us. I think because that was a very enlightening experience last year. We went to the place and the colonel was able to describe them. I mean, it's like the limelight of the Army. It's not just the storage of the billions of dollars in assets, but in terms of actually, it's op stocks is the term they use, but I mean, if there's something that somebody needs in a foxhole somewhere, chances are it's out there in their inventory. They package it up there, the largest FedEx, single source FedEx customer in the country. Ships out of that location, so, I mean, it would be worth doing a tour like that one time.
And yeah, we can organize that easily enough. And Jim, since you've been out there, they've probably grown at least 30%.
Oh, yeah, it's just expanding, and now what we saw last year with the running down of the war zone in Afghanistan, of course, Iraq was pretty much wrapped up. A lot of stuff is just being thrown in these big old carton containers and being shipped back, and they're sorting through it and inventorying it and repairing it or doing whatever needs to be done. So it's a two-way thing, and get ready for the next, I guess, go-around. And they have like 30 hospitals all in these containers, so if there's a disaster or somewhere they need, they just go out there and pull it out and send it where it needs to go.
And also, there's an organization called Association of the Defense Communities, and there's a minimal charge to join it, and I would encourage all the counties here to join this Association of Defense Communities, because we all are a defense community. So, and we'll get you that information.
Yeah, we'll send that out, there was a reminder about you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to another economic development topic, and then we'll open it up to the audience if any persons would like to comment on anything on this topic. So Plymouth County had some information that we wanted to relay.
Yes, Supervisor Simpson has a briefing she would love to give. Yeah, we didn't know, did Kennedy put this on, or we didn't know about it? But I'll give a briefing, I'd like to talk. I can tell you what's going on. We got our first mile of fiber into the county, and we're excited about that. That's been a long project. So now we're looking, it went to mostly facilities like the hospital, the schools, and the college, but that was a big step. That was through Plymouth Sierra Rural Cooperative. And we hope to attract people, Rec and Tech. We have a Rec and Tech, like people out of Silicon Valley that want to recreate, that maybe someday they'll move their business up here and can work from home, because we have high-speed fiber now. We had our third annual business summit, and that's been a real success. I went for the first time. Supervisor Thrall went last year, and it's really, there was 100 of people there, and high school students present business plans, and also, I believe, the college. And then they're judged for their business plans. There was a speaker on rural tourism, and I really learned a lot how we haven't funded tourism. We just had to cut it off because for our TOT funds, we had to use them for the sheriff and things like that. So we cut funding to all our chambers, and we had to shut down our tourism bureau, but we found the TOT funds kind of stayed at a high level, even though we cut those down. And a lot of it is social media now is what everybody's using, and attracting people, and you don't need to do the visitor's guides anymore. They say everything's online, the younger generations anyway. But what else is going on? Let's see. We have some biomass grants for small boilers that will probably go into the college and our annex and maybe Portola Hospital. Our ski hill, Johnsville, is probably going to be up and running next year. That's one of our ski hills. I know Sherry has one in her area. And in my area, I'm in the county seat. We have 2 mills left in our county, one Collins Pines and Sherry's side. I have Sierra Pacific. And I tell everybody, these are manufacturing mills. They're making jobs in the USA, and we need to keep these mills going. So Sierra Pacific is investing $7 million to upgrade the mill. That's huge. That's a huge investment. When I first got elected, they were shutting down the mill, and now they're doing this, so maybe I did something right, I don't know, but anyway. So those are some of the big projects we have going in our area. I know as supervisors, you're just like us, beat up all the time about bringing jobs, and it's been hard these last few years, and so anyway, we try to do all we can do to bring jobs into our county. Do you have anything else to say?
Good job, Lori. As Lori said, we were not aware this was on the agenda.
I know.
But yes, there's a lot going on, and we're doing the best we can with what we have with the budget restrictions like every other county. Thank you.
I live right there in Portola, and one of the things with this fiber optics program that's going on, there was a housing development that was on the books to be built since kind of fallen apart, kind of bankruptcy. One of the things that they were looking at was using these fiber optics to market some of the houses, to be able to build an area there that was trying to attract people from the Bay Area, where they would have a living quarters above, a business below, like a two-story home. And that, that kind of fallen apart right now, but another new company has come in and purchased the properties and stuff, so it may still go ahead. We don't know yet just yet. So that's it for Plumas County.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anyone in the audience about either of the two projects discussed under economic development? Thank you. Thanks for that info. So we'll move on to item 7, coordination with the Bureau of Land Management and the U.S. Forest Service. Sierra County wanted to talk on that.
Yes, thank you. I don't know what kind of issues you guys are having, but we've been having multiple issues with the grazing plans and stuff like that. We just got some commitment out of our local ranger to try to figure out the grazing opportunity this year. We're going to have 30% reduction in time and 30% reduction in volume. So he's committed to try to accelerate the time so they can go in with 100% of their animals for a shorter duration. Tuesday ends up, and we get some spring rains. That will extend, the utilization out a little further. But as opposed to having to try to go find somewhere to put 30% of their animals. And so he talked to the region, and the region bought off on it. So it's something that you guys might want to look at. I mean, I think it's a good option for people. At least gives them an opportunity to do a difference in utilization. That was one of them. Tim, would you like to come forward?
Is that the Plumas Forest?
No, this is the Sierra, the tall. They're having some issues with Deb and the Plumas, but he went ahead and talked to the region, and then I forwarded his comments, and he forwarded his comments as well to Deb, so hopefully she's got the region's buy off, and she'll get a little pressure maybe.
All that, the reductions are drought driven, right?
Yes. Further utilization standards. This is Mr. Beals.
You want me to touch upon coordination and water? I know some of the agenda skipped over a little bit of the water discussion, and if you're indulgent, I'd like to maybe go back and tie to the Forest Service and BLM in terms of coordination. Again, my name is Tim Beals. I'm the County Public Works and Planning Director. I've been in the county, I think my 41st year in July. I've been through quite a bit, and I've seen quite a bit happen with respect to water, water issues, and certainly coordination or lack of coordination with the Forest Service. We don't have a lot of BLM participation, but we certainly have about 65% national forest ownership in the county, split between 3 national forests, and it does become frustrating at times. People transfer, people move, policies change. You continue to attend QLG meetings and Sustainable Forest Action Committee meetings, and you just never seem to get on top of where the Forest Service is moving in at any one particular time. So it's critically frustrating exercise. fortunate in Sierra County, we have one district where the coordination is very close, and we're building partnerships with the other two forests in an effort to try to head off some of the miscommunications that have occurred over the years. But let me run back to water for a second, and I think it's important because it ties into the Forest Service and BLM. We've been plagued with a host of water issues over the past few years, and three things happened all at once that really brought the issue to a head. One was the Forest Service and a non-governmental organization, a nonprofit, teamed up to develop a plug and pond project at the headwaters of a small channel in the Little Truckee River system that just happened to feed the irrigation system in the Sierra Valley. The Sierra Valley water right is a pre-appropriated water right, it's a senior right, it's the only out-of-basin transfer from the Truckee River system. That right was essentially damaged without any knowledge to the Sierra Valley Water Company or to the county. This project started without any knowledge at the local level. That concerned the county. The second issue was we just got hit with a notice that the water master fees were going to go up 100 and 200%. And of course that had the agricultural community very concerned. And the third thing that happened is we had a round of Department of Conservation watershed grants. And it seemed like everybody became a watershed coordinator overnight. And in Sierra County, we have 4 major watersheds, and we have 6 watershed coordinators, and none of them work for the county. So you can see the confusion that was existing when they said county watershed coordinator. It's like, well, who's that? Who are we talking about? We have watershed coordinators sitting in resource conservation district offices. We have watershed coordinators coming out of nonprofits. And it became clear that those entities were beginning to steer the development of water projects in the county. Complicating that concern, these nonprofits are not accountable. They're not subject to the Brown Act. They don't have to file conflict of interest statements. They're not subject to secret. They can't be a lead agency. So suddenly the accountability became a concern. So Sierra County took the position and worked with Plumas County, and Sierra County developed a resolution that established a very clear statement of policy with respect to who would be responsible for decisions on water projects, watershed projects, watershed improvement projects, and issues dealing with water in and of itself. So we've had a lot of experience and certainly are involved to a great extent in trying to unravel some of the problems that have occurred because of that situation. But what we have at this point is we have a series of issues, AIS and the aquatic invasive species issues. We've got non-governmental organizations in the water business. We've got RCDs now that are very active. We've got the Irwin process, which with the assistance and certainly the guidance of Randy Wilson and Plumas County with respect to Sierra Valley, we've been able to see some light at the end of the tunnel. We have a host of water issues that are plaguing us, and we have very little resources, very little opportunity to really get ahead of the curve. And I'm sure what I'm talking about here is something that you're experiencing in Modoc County. You may be experiencing that in Lassen County. But certainly, water issues we're no stranger to that here in Lassen, Sierra, Plumas County with the Sierra Valley Groundwater Basin Law. The 2 groundwater districts that are in effect today, it's imperative that we maintain those districts. If there's a water bond, or if the appearance continues that the Department of Water Resources and the State Water Resources Control Board is going to extend its arm to groundwater extraction, you want to make sure that these districts are excluded from the regulatory environment that they're proposing to create. We have functioning groundwater districts. We have a law that allows groundwater to be managed by the joint powers agencies that have been approved in both Long Valley and in Sierra Valley. So I think we need to do everything we can cooperatively to make sure that these districts stay afloat, stay in effect. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm hoping that this discussion today and future discussions will enhance the coordination and communication among the 4 counties as well as some other counties that are equally involved. And then we can put together a voice that's fairly strong with respect to how we see our future with regard to water. So that's, I think that's my opening statement with water, and it really trumps the Forest Service coordination issue because they are tied hand in hand. But it's certainly a problem that is plaguing the entire region, and I assume that there's some issues here with the other counties that are of similar nature. So are there any questions?
Who does your water master service?
Excuse me?
Who does your water master service?
Department of Water Resources?
Whoever you are.
Are you having those same issues in Austin County?
Yeah. I'll let Bob Piles, the expert on the water, so.
No, I mean, just like you're saying, DWR is putting a big increased fee on you, which it's not new, this happened years and years ago. Well, they raised it a couple of years ago, probably challenged it, and they reduced it. Now this year they've upped it another 300%, so they're gonna be before working. I think the first increase was about 300%. Yeah, they reduced ours considerably. At that time, the water used about the county's sufficient and superior court and took it away from DWR and gave it to RCD. How has that been functioning? It's not functioning good. We're actually gonna have a work board for the second meeting in May. The problem is the RCD has enough of their own work to do, and they didn't realize what they were taking on, and it's just over their head. They don't have the staff power and knowledge, and so the water master system it's functioning, but not good. When I go back to DWR, it's not enough. We've got one individual that likes to sue a lot, so that's our concern. Back to what? Sue a lot. He's going to make it cost up for everybody if we try to take it on. Well, we got that issue there too.
There's an additional concern with water master fees, and Supervisor Rowan or Jim Curtis, County Council, could probably, if I not probably, could respond much better than I could, but I can throw the issue out on the floor, is that these increases in fees, once we proceeded with the Public Records Act request and got all of the information to develop the basis for the fee, and part of the fee pays for the light bill of the Resources Agency in Sacramento. So it's spreading their entire overhead costs on the backs of the water master services. But the question that really came out of this was, how can they increase those fees without an election? And it was an interesting lack of response, I guess, is what I would say. I'm not sure, I don't want to put words in.
Well, that's exactly what it was, a lack of response. That's why we requested they take it over the next month.
It was really a question of justification.
Justification? Meaning, yeah, maybe Jim Curtis, the Sheriff County Council, might share the desk with me, so in case you guys start throwing stuff at us.
Through this, could you possibly make CC us copies of what actions you take so we can I think that's really helpful information.
This is our second Prop 26.
I'll just indicate when the issue was first brought to my attention a couple of years ago, I conspired or coordinated with Craig Sedler in Plymouth County, and we collectively authored letters for our two boards to jointly send to DWR making a request under both the public records and actually asking for justification for their fee structure. Interestingly enough, DWR, I think, took a posture that the state constitution really doesn't apply to them, that Prop 26, which really required that all fees be fair, appropriate, and be justified, really wasn't something that they took any cognizance of. And we had another strange initial battle with regards to that issue. They did, I believe, back off a couple of years ago when we tendered our request for documentation and justification. But they came back this past year with a request, or actually just a levy. They are empowered through state law to tender the water master bill to the county, and the county has to enroll it on the tax roll and collect it. It's a ministerial duty of the Harvey County. You really don't have any say in what the fee's going to be. But nonetheless, we interface with the request of the board with DWR asking for just a